This meeting and all other meetings of the council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. Call the meeting to order with a roll call.
Nadowski.
Here.
Kemp.
Here.
Rasmussen.
Here.
All right, next we'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 9th, 2015.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from November 9th.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, next we got citizen appearances, which there is none. We do have Cedar with us. And we'll go to number 4, which is the municipal building construction update.
As we discussed last meeting, we have change order number 3 and pay requests on there, and I wanted Corey, our architect, that's also running the construction phase with Emma Construction, to come and just walk you through the change order. He'll just do a high level, kind of give you an idea what the items are, and then if you have any specific items, questions, that's what Corey's here to answer them. If I were here and Corey not here, I could answer some of them. Other ones I'd have to get Corey's comments. So Corey was, he was over in the area today working with the city on some other items, the interior design and so forth. And he hung around here for your meeting to answer any questions you guys may have on the change order. Corey?
Procedurally, you have this change order is going to be a little bit different than what you've seen at the treatment plant at City Hall. And the reason why is because when we were designing the project, Cedar had talked about the opportunity for owner direct purchases, and the reason why those would be important is because whoever does these projects, when they bid out and then they have a contract with us, typically they're charged sales tax on these items. And as a tax exempt municipal government, there are some items that we can just be billed directly for. They're still part of the project, but if we're billed directly, we can pay them outside of the contract. There's potential for us to save on the sales tax. The very first line on the change order shows the amount of the eligible owner direct purchase materials to be paid for the whole contract. And so it's $544,998.64. On that, there would be sales tax of $27,249.93. And so what we would be looking to do procedurally is we take that out of the contract. So this change order is taking out $572,248.57. It starts at a credit of $572,000.
Yep.
From there, then, we do have some items that Corey will go through in a second where there are more traditional change order items. There's things that we took out that we saved money on. There's things that were added in that will cost money. Those items on this change order come to about roughly $27,000. At the very bottom, then, we're going to start with a negative $572,000, add in the items we're paying for as the traditional change order, and it looks like then a net change order of $544,000 credit, roughly. But the $544,000 in materials, we're then going to have in a second set of pay requests going forward. You have 2 pay requests tonight. One is the traditional pay request for Immel. The second one is a pay request for the materials that have been purchased and installed so far for the project.
Okay.
So we'll take out the 544 out of the contract, but then we'll start paying them as a side pay request.
So basically the net savings from the sales tax is paying for this whole set of change orders.
You could apply it that way, yeah.
Sure.
On this change order.
Otherwise, everything else is essentially the
Right.
same. It's just going to go to different buckets.
So the amount that we'll save on this project because of the sales tax is going to be roughly $27,000. The amount for the pay request, we'll get to that on the owner direct materials, is about $62,000.
Yep.
So that's the first step in paying towards the 544.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So when we have a change order and it looks like a $544,000 credit, it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
That was the big thing we just wanted to work through. And then from there, Corey, if you'd want to go through, you do have construction bulletins that make up that change order.
Yeah, so what we do is, something comes up, we observe something on site while we're here, we'll write a construction bulletin, work with the contractor to make the changes so we can get the cost and then we'll proceed with the work or tell them to try something different. As Patrick mentioned, the tax savings is a cumbersome process, but it did net you $27,000 in savings, so it's definitely worth it. As we go through these construction bulletin items that we work through with contractors and subs on site, the first item, item A, City Hall basement wall to remain. There was a portion of the wall in the basement, as the demolition got completed, we were walking through, we started discussing it. This portion of wall, if we just left it as is, it really doesn't impede the use of the space. It's gonna be repainted, everything's gonna be redone, so we left that portion of the wall. It's in the police storage area, so that was a credit to the city. The next one was City Hall basement support for the existing opening. What there was is there was an existing doorway. We tore the frame out. The rubble wall started kind of coming down around that frame, so we had to come up with a design to provide a new lintel and some support posts, and we're gonna also use that for our HVAC duct. So we're gonna get a credit on another item later on. I'll talk about that, but this is an addition to the project of $897 there. Basement City Hall slab to remain, that was a clarification of documents that was actually caught in an addendum, and got questioned again by the contractor. So what we did is we just clarified it through the construction bulletin process. Second floor chimney, basically what that was is there was a portion of chimney in the existing City Hall. They took it down. We didn't call for it to be taken down, so we just said, no cost change, basically value that the city inherited. So, item E, basement joist ends. There were some joist ends that were pulled away a little bit from a beam that we wanted to get sucked up and tightened up with some hangers. So we wrote a construction bulletin for that, $140. The City Hall basement beam, that was in the existing City Hall, run the length front to back. We had them do is add on some plies. Once they tore the trim work off that, we found it wasn't necessarily dry rot, but it wasn't real durable. So we wanted to just make sure, since we're going through doing the project right now, let's add on a little bit more material and make that more substantial. So that was $1,907 addition to the project. City Hall first floor steel column. What that was is there was the existing stairway that went up to the police station. There was a column in that wall, and our original design had taken that out and relocated it. After seeing all the walls opened up, we said, well, you know what, we could probably leave that column here and reduce some of the new work. We moved the wall in an office, and we saved the city $589 there. So construction bulletin 1, some of our savings, some of the unforeseen items, you come up with a net addition to the project of $1,766.85. Any questions on construction bulletin 1?
Nope.
As we move on to construction bulletin 2 then, you're gonna see some of these items don't have a cost. They don't say no cost change, they just don't have anything. That's because they're in evaluation. We're working through that with the contractor, either trying to substantiate their cost or we need additional information. So, item A is a floor elevation, what they're shoring that they did. We're working through that. Item B is City Hall basement column to be removed. I think here there was a basement in the existing City Hall building that was within a wall. And we were able to remove that, but we had to add in some additional framing that went back above the doorway, and that was that lintel I mentioned before when they tore that door out, the masonry or the rubble kind of came down. No cost change here. Laundry room being relocated as part of the contractor's shoring efforts. They thought they were gonna require more space, or they were gonna have to move the walls in on the new portion of the building. Subsequently, they didn't, but we did move that laundry room, so we're evaluating that cost. And that's kind of the same situation with the basement walls and elevator shaft. We're still working through that with the contractor. elevator shaft, what we did is we revised that elevator shaft floor and the way that was formed up, so we're working through that with the contractor. City Hall walls, same thing there. Actually, no, excuse me. Item F, City Hall walls revised. I believe that was a furring thing that we did in the City Hall on second floor, and that was done at no cost. Item G, door 124. Basically what that was a clarification. I believe that was the rear entrance door, and what it was the archway, and just evaluating the height of the archway, and so they had to change that up when we shifted the door with the windows. So, item H, eccentric footing, that is in that new portion of the building, and that's gonna be related to the shoring, and we're evaluating that. Item I, basement open and existing foundation. What that one was is there was an existing window in the mall building. What we did is we slid the opening over to match that better. It seemed to work out a lot better. It was better structurally, less concern for the existing rubble walls. City Hall face brick, that had to do with the front of the building when they tore the stone off. Some of the brick was in poorer condition than what we thought, but was still really solid. So rather than trying to tooth in new brick, what we did is we found a way to add new brick over the top. So the new brick will actually take the place of where the stone is, and that'll tie back in with the flashing. So that was a really nice detail that we were able to come up with, no cost change here. Existing openings in the mall building. In the old mall building on the east wall, behind some of the framing and furring, there was some window openings. So originally there was no building there, or they were tied to each other, and we didn't know they were there, so they had to block those in. So that was an add to the project of $561. So grand total, there are some items that are unresolved yet. We're working through those with evaluation with the contractor. So grand total right now, the unforeseen is $1,051 in construction bulletin number 2. Any questions on that one? Okay. Bulletin number 3, changes in window M and N. Window M and N are the windows for the police station reception and the city hall reception windows. There was just a little clarification between the documents. One spot had wood, one spot had a metal frame, so we just had to clarify that, and the contractor was able to get us that cost. Second floor joist, item B, what that was is when the contractor took out the floor, they didn't follow the documents, they cut the joist out, so we had to provide some additional information, so that had to do with how they tied onto those joists for the new wall support, so we got that clarified in the bulletin. City Hall basement joist hangers, again, that was something the contractor came in and they used the wrong joist hanger, so we just made sure we had a bulletin to get that straightened out. Item D, mechanical room 104. This was, remember earlier I said we had that door frame that had the, as soon as we took the door frame out, the rubble wall came down. This is the credit because we relocated a mechanical opening to that. We're still working through that with the mechanical contractor to get the duct flattened down shallow enough, but trying to offset some of those costs for the issues we had on that rubble wall. Siren, this is a kind of a value enhancement, the old siren up on top. When they got up there, and I guess we looked at it, it was, it's still in operation, but if we're gonna put it back up, let's get it fixed up and painted, so sent that off, and it's still being worked on. Hopefully we get it back this week. So, furring the walls, I believe this was on the first floor. Basically what they did, rather than going over the walls with direct applied jib, they're furring the walls. Probably it's a couple things, value enhancement, but it was a lower cost than what we typically would see. They were able to do that work and provide better value to the city while saving time and effort on their electrical and other utilities in the wall. Chimney, item G, what that was is on the roof of the mall building and on the city hall, there was a couple old chimneys or vent stacks. So when they put the new coping on, when they put the new roof on, then they put their new coping on, we had them cut those off. So your coping is nice and smooth, there's less seams, less transitions, less chance for a leak, so we felt that was a good addition to the project. Cut brick openings, this is kind of an interesting one. The job soup talked to our structural engineer on site one day and said, boy, we'd like to use jam blocks and all these openings we gotta cut in the walls. So we put it in a construction quote and go ahead. They felt it was gonna make their life easier. Well, the project manager subsequently came back and said, well, we want X amount for each one of these. And I said, well, you told us it was gonna be easier, we're not gonna pay you for it. You know, if that's what you want, you should just do it. If you didn't, do it per the plan. Well, I'll come back and he says, well, I can't do that because it's all my subcontractor related costs. So I said, you're gonna have to take that out of your pocket then. So, that one we rejected. I don't know if it'll come back, we'll have to wait and see, so. Fire alarm, item I, that was a clarification in the documents, just on the devices. So we got that taken care of with our electrical engineer. Electric breaker, generator plug, clarification, there was a question on the plug, and I think it was something to do in it was an auto, or it was a manual transfer, but there was something to do with the generator plug, related, with the panel related to the emergency generator, and that plug-in. So once we got that clarified, we did evaluate the cost, it was $38.95. We sent it, actually came in higher the first time we sent it back, told them we wouldn't have their markup, so, this is a fair cost here. The other big one we got is, floor leveling. This one is, $5,880. This is the second floor of the City Hall building. It'll be the future police area. There was variations in that floor between all the rooms of upwards of 2 to 3 inches, which isn't necessarily so bad in an old building, but when you see it in, across probably 20 feet is where we're having, one of the corners was really low. So they came in, the floorboards were actually kind of rough shape under the old flooring when they tore that out. So they came and put plywood and floor leveler on the whole thing. With that one, what we did is they gave us a proposal. We weren't satisfied with it. We requested additional money, and then we proposed to do it on a time and materials basis with them. So we got a breakdown of everything on that. And the floor turned out pretty good. It's got a couple high spots, but generally speaking, the floor turned out really good. Door hardware, that's clarification, so there's no cost change there. So grand total construction Bolton 3 is $12,650. Any questions with CB3? Item 4, this is a singular item. When they went to connect to the sanitary in the building, and this happened quite early in the process, before the basement walls report, they discovered that the sanitary line wasn't deep enough. And looking back at our records, we really thought it was gonna dive down underneath the old foundation wall, but it came in very close, right underneath it. Thad and I did look at alternatives of going back to Alfred, but I think it was still cost effective to put the grinder pump in, because it would have taken it quite a bit to go back to Alfred. And the other alternative was to dig out into the street, out into Main Street, and I don't know if that was feasible either, so.
That was more costly than that.
Yeah, and that's gonna be just for the lower level restrooms. The upper level restrooms will still be gravity fed, so, and there's sufficient size in this pump or pit to protect from overflow. And I believe there's a check valve on that pump too, so. Any questions there? Item 5, this is some items that came from discussions with Heartland. We had a meeting back in probably October, I believe it was. And we talked about a couple things they needed for door access, telephone jacks, and TV jacks. And those are items of work that'll be done by the electrician for rough-in. Heartland actually has it in their quote for the devicing of those ports or those locations, so. Any questions on that one?
So now, is this stuff included in the Heartland?
Yeah, so there's some duplication, and the items that Heartland is providing, we can take out of what Immel has. The items that Immel or the contract already provides will be deducted out of on Heartland's end too. One of the big things was with the door access, the door locks and the door strikes, I believe. We're working on that yet, but
That was a pretty significant cost, so, but
Yeah.
we'll get through that here in the next month, hopefully.
yeah. So we're still, yeah, if there's duplication, it's coming out of one or the other, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Evidence, or item 6, or CB 6 here, item A, evidence storage, there were some changes there with, the police department simplified some things, got rid of a door, so we had a credit of $869. And then we went and added a floor drain back in that room. Looking at how they're gonna use that space, they felt a floor drain was needed, so we added that floor drain in there. Evidence storage, what we did there is we're changing up the countertop configuration a little bit, and looking at the process they're gonna be using. They would like to have a stainless steel countertop in there, so we're waiting for those costs to come back. As soon as we have that, that sub-item will be complete. But grand total for CB6, it's a credit of $349.51.
Just a quick update on the evidence storage. The item A is to take out the wall and the door for what we had as a weapon storage, like a bigger closet. And what they found was when we moved here, they've got a gun safe that works in much the same manner. And so they knocked out the wall, or proposed to not put in a wall to separate evidence and weapons. And so that way, I don't think it's double, but it's maybe an extra third then, was where the evidence room gets bigger. And on the evidence prep, we're cutting the countertop and the cabinets about 3 feet short so you could stick a weapons or a gun safe
safe.
in there. The other question or concern that they have, one is with the floor drain, because sometimes they have to take in wet evidence and sometimes it needs to drain or hang, sometimes clothing. I'll leave it at that, but that was one question they had, with some hooks maybe above where the drain is too, to hang out whatever needs to dry. And then item C, the concern they have is with the countertops, potentially having something of like a porous
Yeah.
surface. The stainless steel is something that they can come in, sanitize, clean it out, because when they're prepping evidence, sometimes
Makes
some
sense.
issues there.
There is actually another unit in there for evidence prep and working. It's an actual fume hood with everything in it, so we have that on that countertop as well, so.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on CB6? CB7, operable partitions, item A. That was a clarification of the contractor, so again, that was just addressing some comments or questions the contractor had. It was primarily qualifying a bid, so. We did meet, I guess, any other questions on these construction bulletins? I guess, just if I could maybe add back to your previous item here, item 4 on the update, everything's coming along, project's on schedule. We're just about through reviewing submittals, we're working through picking the interior colors, and, so far, winter's been treating everybody really well over there, so temporary heat and power, temporary heat will be going in, temporary power is in. Rough-in for mechanical, electrical, plumbing is underway. Walls are framed up. It's really starting to take shape. You're going to see a lot less work on the exterior over the next few months unless this weather continues. The mason may come in and do some tenting, but otherwise their intention was to wait till spring to do that work. So.
You got this question on the siren when you get it back. That gets wired in because it's operated from the fire station. That's
Yeah, the signal actually, well,
It relays through our garage, because we had to locate it when they started digging the back parking lot. We actually went out with our utility guys and located. It sort of runs 8 feet behind the property lines into the parking lot to the garage, and then back to the firehouse.
Yeah,
But when we mounted though, part of the problem in the rehab was that the mount on the building wasn't great.
yeah, it was
When we
all
took it down,
rod
and what they're gonna
camera.
I believe that. It's probably been up there for 100 years.
And what they're gonna do is mount it on the top of the elevator shaft so that it's in a
Solid.
better, solid place.
Are you changing any relays on that? I mean, when we do the parking lot and excavate it and put new base and new paving, are we gonna have to put new conduit in, or are they going to?
We're looking at, cause it's only like 4 inches deep too. It's
Right.
not that deep where it sits today, so. Yeah, that's one of the things we gotta look at is how that even gets operated, and I know it goes back here probably because that used to be the fire station.
Yeah.
And so when they put it up, that's where,
Well, it came to a relay over in this building, and then there was another relay in City Hall, and I think they got rid of the relay in City Hall. And that actually looked like an old relay that they just passed
Well, it used to be
through.
that the city clerk would answer the phone,
Okay,
and
she
she-
would go and,
operate a siren from there.
sure, that makes sense, then, cause
Yeah.
that's what that old relay was then.
Yeah.
And they just patched into that out of the,
But now we don't use it for fires anymore, it's strictly a storm warning thing, tornado warning, so, but we control it from the fire station.
And that's my question is when we do the parking lot, if we're gonna do anything, that would be the time to make any adjustments, or can
We
that
need
relay
to-
just?
for where it lays, it's gonna get dug up anyway for where it
We need
lays.
to
So.
operate it
But the
from
question is,
fire
can
station?
the operation be changed to City Hall?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because if
thinking.
you ever get rid of that garage, then you've gotta move to City Hall anyway.
Well, and plus,
Can the
either way, we
relay
play for all the.
Be moved over and put down in the electrical room.
oh, absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
you don't have, then, you know, take
That
the
would be the
relay
only
out of the
smart thing
garage,
to do.
put it in the electrical room downstairs, and then we don't have, then
Or
when we do
something,
our
or
work, we just
something,
pull
yeah.
that cable out.
With the sophistication we got nowadays, they could probably take and put a relay in the electrical room and tie that into a dialer and dial. You know, that's something we could talk to Heartland about. I'm sure they could.
That might not be the worst thing either, because if you put it down in that room, we're cutting off access to who just can come into the server room.
Mhm.
And it's not gonna be open to the public at all. So with that, depending on who you need to get in there for the siren, you might wanna just do something that remotes,
That you can
Somewhere.
call him from your cell phone even.
you know? Or maybe county emergency management
If that, yeah.
gets, maybe they get the opportunity to do it too if they need to, but.
Because I'm just looking at avoiding having to deal with that again with the parking lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
idea.
we'll dig it up for sure when they go to do anything with the parking
Yeah,
lot,
and
cause when we saw it, it was about 4 inches in, under the surface. You could, the blacktop, once you saw where it was, you could see that it's settling right about where it is
See,
too.
and that's the question I have is wherever that is whatever it's gonna cost us to futz around with it with the parking lot, if we're gonna have to dig it out and relay it or something, that cost, if there is an additional cost to deal with relocating down into the lower level, will offset the cost of what we have to screw around in the parking lot.
Right.
Then it becomes out of that garage, because if anything ever happens to that garage, you're gonna have to do it at that point in time anyway. So deal with it now and put it
Might
down
as well
into a secure room, and if they've gotta run a conduit or whatever straight up to the siren from, I mean, now is the time to do it.
Right.
Well, I think you wouldn't have to do that. It could all be low voltage, what they would have, and they would have that included already. So we should be in pretty good shape.
Okay, so you'll take care of it with her.
I guess otherwise, Patrick mentioned hopefully in January, we have stairways. Still waiting for a few things from the contractor on that. But as soon as we get those, we can go in and do a tour. I think, you know, wanna make sure that's done and get the building safe, otherwise it's ladder access here and there. So buildings, you know, sound, everything's been going well in that regard. Structurally, the buildings are, you know, we still have our opinion that they're sound buildings, so it's coming together good.
Yeah, and like he mentioned, with the tours, it's ladders up, ladders down. And again, it's Immel's site, it's our building, but because they're under construction, it's
Yeah.
really up to them. So we kinda rely a little bit on what their thoughts are, on do they want people tromping through up and down ladders, and,
Yeah, I wouldn't trust people doing it.
yeah. So, that's
Not
where
if
we're
it was
thinking.
my insurance paying for it.
Right,
And they're gonna be, you know, have that in relatively soon anyways.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve the change order number 3. We need any more discussion on it? Everybody pretty clear on what it all is?
Yep.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and make that motion then for to approve change order 3.
I'll second. Thank you, Corey, for taking the
Yeah.
time to come and explain this in greater detail for us to understand. Appreciate it.
Makes it a lot.
Anytime you guys got questions, I can come over, it's not a problem, I'll go over every week, sometimes twice a week.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier, so. All right, we got a motion and a second, so we'll go ahead and, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next, we got, make a motion for pay request number 5 for $234,390.43. On contract C-15. I don't know if I have to add that or
Well, either way, it's
Yeah,
good,
that's contingent upon me receiving the
Oh.
appropriate lien
Lien
waivers.
waivers,
from
yeah.
Emil,
Yeah.
not.
'cause we have not
So
got
I'll
them yet.
amend that and contingent upon waivers from Nibble.
I'll second your motion.
All right, motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, next we have, pay request, owner direct purchases.
So on the change order itself, page number 4 shows you, when we took out 500 some $1,000, it shows you from who and where.
Yep.
On this pay request, you'll see a detail on who we would end up paying, and it comes out to the $62,477.02. It works just like this last pay request, where we're only paying for what's been done.
The only question I have on this, is this still getting then vetted by you guys? So you guys, so you still do the review, just like the normal
All those
process?
for each one of them.
Yeah, and we can't physically be here to count every foot of wire or anything like that, but we're looking for big items. But what happens is your contract with IMO, or the city's contract with IMO, is the umbrella for all this. So let's say they go out and spend 500,000 more than they were supposed to. You're still covered under your contract with IMO.
Okay.
So, and with this then, what you will see is a series of invoices that will then be paid out to each individual subcontractor, and part of the review process is a lot of these places bill the city, and they're waiting for our review process for us to pay the bills. And it's extended a little bit longer because IMO reviews it because it's part of their project, and then it goes to Cedar, and then it comes to us. So when our name is on it, we do get calls on people asking, you know, some companies have 30-day terms, some of them ask that you pay as soon as you receive it, and, you know, we pay, as soon as, we get the approval here, so.
Okay.
And we do remind the contract, the general and the subs at the pre-con about this, that they're supposed to tell their suppliers they can't do that, but unfortunately, no one listens to us, because they're not at the pre-con meeting, so they don't get the message.
Right. But no, so it's good to go, and then we'll
Okay.
end up paying each individual then out of there, if that's approved by you guys.
We'll make a motion to approve the pay request for the owner direct purchases, total $62,477.02.
Is that what's itemized right here?
It is, there's a whole sheet, kinda like an Excel sheet. Let me see if I can figure out.
Right here.
Here you go.
4C,
Right
yeah.
Yeah, this stuff here.
Okay.
So it'll show you the net amount at the beginning, and then there's
Yeah.
there's a this period column, I believe. Oh, that'll be the other, so there's one more yet, if you go down
Oh.
further.
One sheet
After
out.
the pay request, there's one.
And you're getting pinged close to me right now.
It's
Oh,
that-
okay.
that sheet
Yeah,
right
this-
There we go.
Yeah, all right.
It's highlighted in yellow, and it'll show you who and. That's bedtime at my house, so, judging by the way bedtime went last night.
Alright. Any more questions, or can we get a
Did we-
second going
yeah.
on? I did a motion, so we need a second.
Okay, I see it now. I'll second your motion.
Alright, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Alright, let me get back to the top here. Next, we have, phase 2 for the, network server upgrade.
So, we're getting to the time now where items that are going to be installed in City Hall are going to be reviewed and probably approved so that they can be built. The network server is one of them. Back in, I believe it was April, or maybe May, I think it was May, because we did all of these, the votes, I think were in May on the construction, the server. Heartland had come with the server that would be installed in the brand new building with their original quotes, and it was in the neighborhood of $85,000 to $90,000 for a brand new network server. One of the things that we had asked them though was whether we had the ability to break it up into pieces so that we could pay it over multiple years, so that's a good thing. But the other part was, we're building a server for the new building that's going to have a lot of
Control.
audio, video, security cameras, a lot of things that's going to be running. But in this year that we're in the temporary office, we don't need that extra power yet. We just needed the new server. Phase 1 was approved, and the cost on phase 1
37.
ended up being about $37,000. And so that was phase number 1. Now, you did not vote on phase number 2 at that time, but the general thought was if you're going with phase number 1, it was the first half of the ultimate for the new building. Phase number 2, at the time, they had an estimated cost of $53,234.54. That gets you to roughly $88, $89 in total. This was back in April. In your packet, you have the updated phase 2. We're here 8 months later, and the $53,200 has increased about $1,300, and basically what they're looking at for phase 2 is a cost of $54,596 and 35 cents, and in there they have $4,600 estimated for their labor to install it and hook everything up. So essentially what we're looking for is a vote on phase number 2 with the understanding that it's about a $1,300 increase from when we first looked at this. But that being said, it still comes in about $88,000 to $90,000 in total, and we can still break it up in pieces. A vote either tonight or in January will help Heartland get going so that they can get it installed in the brand new building.
Let's do it now.
Yeah, how does that work? How has that been working though with Heartland? Because I know we had a lot of stuff where they've not really got, or we're not to the point where they're deeply involved yet.
We are bringing them in now. We did have a walkthrough last week. We've had a couple meetings with Heartland. We did have a walkthrough. They provided a lot of their specs with the door hardware, cameras. Corey, if there's anything you need to add on that.
Well, the door hardware is actually all on the general contractor's bid, so basically Heartland's gonna do the cable.
Door access system.
Yeah.
part of
Yeah,
it's
they'll
what I
do
need.
the
Yeah.
access system that'll tie into the door hardware that's being provided. They'll provide the camera securities, all the cabling. So we walked through all the locations, outlet locations, everything, and just made sure everybody was coordinating and understanding what was going in. And it was a good meeting. We got a few things we're gonna get a construction bulletin out for, but the process has been going well.
Okay. Good. All right.
So, and the big thing with Heartland too is until we get the buildings framed in,
Yeah.
it's hard to really do a whole lot because we're basically building new buildings on the inside.
Yeah.
But what we had aimed for with Heartland is they had always said we're sort of ahead of the game or we're on time. We're looking at like January is when they're really kind of moving in with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of their cabling will be the last little bit of the project, you know, because they'll get all the drywall done, and they'll have most of their rough-in done, and then the cable and network wiring will be taking place. That'll be one of the last things before we finish up floors and ceilings and things. So that'll be kind of tail end.
Okay.
It's important to get it coordinated now, so we don't need a conduit or an opening, or, you know, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking, just to make sure that don't ripping stuff out that's already put in.
Yep.
All right. So, is there any other questions on that?
No.
All right. Make a motion to approve phase 2 of our sewer project, which is for $54,596.35.
Just the number 496, 596?
Did I say it wrong?
No, I don't have it in front of me, so
Oh.
54,
596.
35.
35.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Alright. Aye.
All right. Furniture, phones. Next up.
The other items that are hanging out there, we talked a little bit, I think for a couple months, we've talked about furniture. What it looks like we're down to is there are 2 offices, smaller offices that we just don't have a desk for right now, or a newer solution for. The reception counters are actually going to be built in as part of Immel's bid. So the reception at City Hall and the police department,
Nice.
those are gonna be built-ins. But what we're probably gonna be looking for yet is lobby furniture, and then what are we gonna do with the council chambers, with the public seating, and the community room with seating and chairs. I have 2 quotes in hand right now, and there are 2 other companies that are giving quotes on any of the furniture we'd end up needing. So what I'm thinking is January, for whatever we need to order, it sounds like it's a suitable time to order, and then we'd have it by May for the things that we determine that we need by May. One thing that's going to be a little bit more difficult to figure out is going to be whatever your seating arrangement is for the council chambers, for the council and for staff, because a lot of what we approved with Heartland is fixed sound, audio, visual, hook-ins to the network. And I'm not sure if this represents a pretty big change from what we're used to, but Jack will know, being at the county board, the front area where the county board chair and the clerk sit is a little different than what we've had at the library, where we just have tables kind of up there. So, and the problem we have is that because there's so many different ways you can turn it into a big piece of woodwork, you could have it as just regular tables that are fixed. All the different companies sort of have their own thoughts and options on what you can do. So that might be one, that'll be a little bit more intense with what we're gonna put in there. And a lot of it's gonna depend on, microphones and that, because we'd hope to have a lot of fixed technology that you don't have to take down and put away. And
Yeah.
so,
I
with
think-
that,
I know for that one, I don't remember who I was talking to about it, but just thinking about it, at least for the council chamber, for the, whatever it ends up being up front, it should be whatever the final product is gonna be, because there is gonna be those fixed items. And then whether or
Yeah.
not we wait on some of the other stuff, we can, but at least that one, because you're gonna have all the, hookups and everything like that, so you hate to do
Right.
it temporary and then have to redo the whole damn thing again.
right. So that's just an update that we're getting quotes on that yet to bring to you, and what we're looking at is probably January is when we'll wanna make a decision on what needs to be ordered.
Okay.
But the caveat is, that custom piece for the council chambers might not be completely ready in January, but, we do have more options too, because a lot of woodworkers or cabinet makers are interested in that type of a thing too, rather than just strictly furniture companies.
Yeah, we got the
So we got thoughts
Amish
there.
folks around here too.
Yeah, yep. And then with phones, one of the other items that's hanging out there to order would be the newer areas. We do have a lot of phones that we brought over here that, when we took them out of the offices, we had extra ones, and so they're kind of set up already. We have a conference phone. There's a couple more that we'll have to look at, and they're roughly $250 a phone. We already bought the system when we went with my telephone, so we don't have to build that out. We just have to build out, actually buy the phones.
Okay.
But a lot of the phones we need though are a lot of the more basic phones, so that's out there too.
When it comes to the furniture
we got
discussion,
else.
do we already have, are we working with Cedar then, since they're doing the
This is kind of,
decorating part?
We're doing the built-ins,
yeah,
but the loose fixed furniture, Patrick's been working with vendors on.
yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know,
it's-
because I know we had approved to have,
The interior design work was already, some of that's already been done today
Yeah.
with some of it.
but I wonder if does that tie in at all to our selections? I don't know if there's color themes or what,
It could,
I don't know.
It could. The big thing is it kind of works like with Heartland, where
Okay.
whoever we buy with, we'll be buying with, but we'll also be in touch with Cedar, and then on some level through Cedar to Immel, because we want to make sure that the 2 desks we got to get are in
Mhm.
smaller rooms that are, I think, on some dimensions are less than 10 feet wide. So certain furniture, you don't want to buy stuff that's too big.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is too is we're fortunate enough to get a lot of this furniture for free through Mike's connection, and with that, the color and the looks, they're good looks and everything on them, but that's
Yeah.
what you get too though. So
Yeah. Okay.
matching up that way is a little bit of a challenge, but if we only have to look for like 2 offices, that's a lot better than
Mhm.
10 of them, you know. So just more update only, it's just more items that are hanging out there that I just wanted to keep them on here so that I had an update for you, because eventually, by January, we do have to take some action on at least the furniture.
All right. Next, we got the special assessment letter fee rates.
Yeah, so there's two items here. One is for the NSF fees, which is what we charge people when they pay us and the checks get returned. A discrepancy we found is that city ordinance prescribes that we charge $20, but our approved rates with the Public Service Commission say that we charge $25. So we have 25 or 20. My understanding is that we've been charging 20 because that's what the ordinance says. But because it's a little bit more in-depth to get the PSC rates adjusted, and because we have $25 down, I think it's appropriate that we just set our NSF fee at $25. And then if that's appropriate for you, what we would do is just have an ordinance modification based on that fee. So the recommendation would be to increase the ordinance fee structure to have a $25 NSF fee. The other item is the special assessment letters. And basically, whenever anybody refinances, whenever they buy or sell a house, the title companies or the realtors will send us a letter, and the letter will say, please let us know if there's any outstanding assessments, any outstanding water bills, whatever it would be. What we charge right now is $20 for those letters. As somebody who's bought and sold houses in the last couple of years, and when I look at what I get billed for when I go to do something, I get charged from the title companies over $100.
Thanks, Bart.
Yeah.
See, Corey, thank you.
You bet, thank you.
So what we're looking at is, right now we charge $20. The title companies, in my situation, end up charging the people $100 or more for that same service. On our end though, I don't know so much that we look at what does the title company make and what should our fee be, but our fee should probably be set at how much effort does it take us to look through records. And the quick and short answer is that for $20, every one of these reviews has to be less than an hour for us to even break even. One of the more recent ones we had relates to the Mill Pond Circle development, and that took quite some time, and what we found was there are some things that are potentially due. And so whenever anybody goes to refinance or sell, you want to make sure that if we're in line to get some money or somebody owes us, we want to make sure that we do a thorough review on these things. That being said, it's not out of the realm of possibility or reality that we would charge like $30 for these, because at $30, if it takes an hour of review, we're breaking even no matter what employee ends up doing this. And it's, you know, for what we're looking at with revenue, at $20, we're taking in about $500 a year. Excuse me, about $500, $600 a year on that. If we'd increase it up to 30, we're looking at another $250 to $300 in revenue, but mostly that covers our costs.
Okay.
So 2 recommendations on these fees. If you recommend that we approve both of them, and essentially they're like a user type fee, it's related to somebody doing something or asking for something. If you recommend approval on one or both, we would draft up a simple ordinance modification for next Monday night. So the NSF fee would be an increase from $20 to $25 to match what the PSC has approved for us. And then the other one would be for the special assessment letter fee. The fee would be $30.
Okay.
And that's up from what we currently charge at 20 right now. Any questions on that?
No. I don't.
Nope.
No. So
Okay.
make a motion then to increase the NSF fee to $25 and then also increase the special assessment fee to $30.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Hey.
All right, I gotta scroll back up to my thing now. All right. Next. Looking to approve checks and the monthly financial statement.
Make a motion to approve them.
I see Bigelow's got their fence reimbursement.
Yes,
You see that there.
yeah, the $350 that you approved.
Everything worked out
Yeah.
good there?
Yep, they were very thankful for that, so.
Good deal.
And my next question is, what's Robert Underberg getting paid $159.28 for?
Mileage,
Oh,
because in his
mileage.
contract, he gets a percentage of building permit fees
Mm-hmm.
and then mileage per his contract from where he's at to come in and then drive through town.
Okay.
So what we pay him, it's a combination of the mileage and any permits too then too.
All right. We got a motion,
Okay.
so,
Who made the motion?
Mike did.
Mike made the motion.
Scott seconded.
I'll second.
Okay.
Yep. We'll do
This is a
the,
roll call.
yep, Nadowski,
Aye.
Kempf,
Aye.
Rasmussen,
Aye.
all ayes.
Administrators report.
We're in construction. We're working on a lot of these projects. In finance, it's been pretty easy for you guys, or maybe for me to relay to you what we're working on, because a lot of these items now are coming for action by you. So a lot of the city hall, the technology, furniture and that, it's been stuff we've probably been working on for a year at least. We are still working on the financial software conversion. We're aiming for January to be up and running with the new software. And what we're finding is that we got all the info that we were able to export out of the old software, as far as we know. But because there was a little bit of a delay, we may end up running both of our current and the new system parallel in January, but we'll be able to hand it off next year yet. And then the other item we have is that the auditors are coming in for their preliminary field work this Wednesday. So for 3 days, what they do is they just check from January through the end of November,
Mhm.
and then they get legal bills, projects, they get kind of the skinny on everything that's going on, collect a lot of the data that compiles the financial statements. And then when they come back in March is when they actually finalize the field work as part of the audit. And then they'll catch December and add it on to the year too, so. It's a busy time to be doing that, but it's, that's what we got for this week, so,
All right.
Very good.
alright.
I think we already have the date set, correct?
Yeah, if we're looking at just piggybacking on
Yep.
Public
Yep.
Works on January, is it the 11th? So the second Monday?
Yep.
Does the 6:30 time or immediately after
I think, yeah,
sound okay? I think we were
immediately after.
close, 10 to 15 minutes, I think we ran behind, but.
All right. Anybody got other such matters as authorized by law? All quiet there, so then we'd be going to closed session, so I'll make a motion to go to closed session pursuant to 19.851G Wisconsin statutes. Conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Reason for the closed session is to discuss the development agreement for TIF number 4 projects. The committee may choose to reconvene an open session at the completion of closed session in order to take action on the items from closed session. So I need a second.
Second.
All right, motion in a second, we have a roll call.
Nadowski?
Aye.
Kemp?
Aye.
Rasmussen?
Aye.
7:44.